Hi, Dave UHRICH here. What I'm going to be talking about today is how to practice. There's a lot of little variations here, but I'm going to talk about something that I call form and freedom. So what is form and freedom? Form and freedom is a method of practicing that I use. It's usually associated with like some improvisation or learning scales or learning some technique of some kind. And what form and freedom basically is that one time you're going to go through, you're going to put a backing track on, okay? And we're going to talk about, say as an example, a scale. I'm going to use just a very simple example of, say, an A minor pentatonic scale. But so suppose you're trying to practice scales, and you go, I just don't know how to practice them. What do I just do them and play them, and then what? I'm supposed to like play that scale, and all of a sudden I sound great? Well, there's a system for that, and we're going to talk about that. So form and freedom. Basically, we're going to take the A minor pentatonic scale, and what I mean by form, and then what I mean by freedom is this. And like I said, there's some variation to the game, but form is you're going to put a track on, and I've got a track here that's a backing track. It's going to go for 1 minute, okay? And 1 minute of backing track, you are going to play the scale up and down, and up and down, and up and down. And you're going to resist the urge to improvise or go off or noodle or to stray or anything like that, okay? That's what I call form. Immediately after the form section, I want you to do the exact opposite. Not only do I want you to noodle, improvise, and what, I want you to, don't resist the urge to do those things now. Now I want you to do whatever you want to do. If you want to, play a note with your nose, or to do it, okay? If you want to try something, do it, okay? Now, I'm not suggesting that you play a note with your nose, but my point is, you want to have all freedom, all improvisation. And why exactly do you want to do both of these things? Well, if all you do is just stay at home and play scales, what you'll get is just good at scales, and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, right? And then that kind of never really filters into your playing and improvising and part of your own style. If, as an example, you do the opposite, all you do is noodle around and kind of go like up and down and play find some cool stuff, okay? In my opinion, you're always kind of looking for like, why did that work? And how come the next time I tried it, it didn't work? Or maybe you're at a different like thing, and you go, God, I just can't recreate that. It was really cool. I had that the other day. I was jamming, and I don't know what it was anymore. So there's no structure whatsoever. It's all just, kind of catch as catch can. It doesn't really work. So what is form and freedom? I'm going to give you an example of this. We're going to take the A minor pentatonic scale. We're going to put the track on for 1 minute, and then we're going to go up and down the scale. I'm going to talk while we're doing it, and then immediately after, you can then go and improvise. Now, you can do these things with riffs or licks. You can practice just a little section or a little melodic idea, a riff, a lick, a motif, call it what you will. And you can just play it and play it and play it. But the idea is what you're doing is repeating it, and you're killing it. You're repeating it a million times. And then immediately afterwards, you're going directly to the freedom section, where you might have the urge to do that, or to bend it, or shape it, or mold it. I have found this method to be magical in my own playing, as well as in my students. So here's what this is. There'll be a link for the actual some of these tracks, but technically all you need to do is just have a track that you know is, in this particular case, suited for what you're practicing. And what I mean by suited, this is just something that stays diatonic. Diatonic meaning it's not like changing keys, and of course I'm in the correct key. It's not like I have a progression that's in A minor and I'm playing in E minor, okay? Which in of itself isn't horrible or wrong. We'll talk about how to do certain things like that and play different scales. That's something I very much encourage, but only for this purpose, I mean by, the parameters are very clearly defined. This is a track that's in A minor. Let's just put it on one time. It's just an A minor chord, an F major chord, and a G major chord. These are, as always, rhythm tracks and backing tracks that I play. So, what the first section do is I'm just going to walk you through. We're going to take the A minor pen scale. So, but I'm just going to stop in just a moment. And it starts over. It's now the freedom section. Doesn't mean that you know all these licks, or I'm not trying to say that you should, but what I'm doing is just improvising. Even though the scale itself was in 5th position during the form part, here I'm improvising, because of course I have rehearsed some other patterns and those sections and other scale positions before. But so, now when I'm done that, the track starts again. It's your notice to say, now something different. Now I'm just playing the next shape of the A minor pentatonic scale. So you can do it slow. Doesn't matter how fast, actually. This is a form section. If you want to click it, you can have it to repeat the bottom note or the knot. Start doing something for the 1 minute, I encourage you to continue to stay on it. Whether you change fingerings or picking, and we'll talk about that later. But this is now I'm using the second box. Give you an overview of that. This is a 1-minute track that just sort of ends abruptly. Is it super musical? No. Is it something that you might find in an actual playing setting? Probably not. You won't sing 1 minute, stop, go to something else, 1 minute, stop, go to something else, 1 minute, stop, go to something else. Music's obviously much more flowing than that. But practicing doesn't have to, at practicing, you have to have, I feel, I shouldn't say have to, but I'd like to think, you should have some sort of structure when you're practicing, right? So a structure could include, like I'm going to do pentatonic scales for 20 minutes. Well, if you've got a 2-minute backing track, it's 10 times through it. It gives you a definitive start and a definitive end. So you have 5 different pentatonic shapes. So you got to play each of those boxes 5 times. At 2 minutes is 10 minutes, right? And then if you were to do the form and the freedom section, it's 20 minutes. There you go. Beginning, end. I think it's important to say I have an end spot with my practicing, because an ending time means you can get that good feeling like, yeah, I kicked butt today, I did my practicing perfect, or I did great. So you start to establish really good habits and routines within your practicing, rather than just saying, I'm just going to go downstairs or wherever you have your gear, I'll play for a while, and my buddies will come over and play a little bit, maybe I'll go out after that, and that'll be good. That's not really a very definitive thing. Now, by the way, don't get me wrong, I do that too. So I don't want you to have this military precision relationship with your instrument. But I get asked all the time, how do you practice? Well, here's an example of how you practice. When it comes to improvising, or scales, or technique, I like a definitive start, a definitive end where I can pick and I can loop things, but then also with this thing of form and freedom. Form and freedom is taking something and playing it like, you know, like you're United States in the Marine Corps or something, right? Or the Navy SEALs or something like that. And you know, it's a very, very planned out thing. Now, and then immediately after that, rewarding yourself by doing something free and improvising. Why are both of those things super important? Well, I believe it is precisely going through the whole scale shape. I'm going to use scales as an example. The whole scale shape, up and down, up and down, and up and down, and up and down, that gives you the kind of motions you can kind of learn all where those fingerings at. But it's the freedom part right next door, right immediately afterwards, which gives you, you're using it, right? If all you do is sit at home and buy like a scale book somewhere, right, online or whatever at a music store, and you just start practicing scales, you might at first be kind of excited about it and learn a few of them, right? But invariably what will end up happening is you just play it at that level, whatever that level is that you got that book at, or whatever, saw a video, a YouTube video of somebody, right? Right? So that's where it stops, and maybe you get a little better at over time, right? But weeks turn into months, months turn into years, years turn into decades, and you go, what am I doing? Well, how do I practice? How do I do that? So, to me, a form and freedom section says, so today I'm going to take a 1 minute track here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 4 minutes, and I'm going to show you how. We'll just do this for 4 minutes, okay? I'm going to take the first 2 pentatonic shapes again, and then the next 2 pentatonic shapes. In fact, I might play 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. I'll extend my fingers just because we want to do that. All right. So we're going to go back, and I'm going to do form and freedom for this on both. So here it comes. I'm shaping up the picking a little bit. That was 4 minutes of that. Now, theoretically, right, I could go all the way up with, there's 5 different pentatonic scale shapes, right? Or an example of 4 on freedom could also include where you take a 2-minute track and you're just going to play like whatever, one of those positions. Well, you could do that 4, 5, 6 times through, right? If you did it 4 times through, well, do the math. On 2 tracks, did it each twice. That's how many minutes you have for practicing. What this does is it adds some structure into some things. Now, you might be asking, I don't know how you went from like just playing that scale up and down to all of the much cooler things that you were doing. Well, those are also form and freedom issues as well. An example, and if you want, you can go and take a look at any of the exercises that I have in C major or A minor. This one happens to be in A minor. And there's a slight difference, but from a scale perspective, the parent scale is C major, but in this case, A minor, A natural minor, or the Aeolian mode, it's all diatonic, meaning in the key of A minor. And you could take any of the boxes or any of the licks or any of the riffs. So if you went to one of the other videos that we've done, what we call stock licks, theoretically all of the stock licks work with all of these progressions at any point. I'll take stock lick number 1 and do the same thing. So if you're saying, I want to practice just those licks, well, here's how you do it. What do? You go back, oops. It's a down, down. So, you would do that for a minute. Or lick number 2 and lick number 3, whatever. And there's something there called the 6-note horizontal shapes. You can practice those as well for 1 or more. Right? So you've got these patterns. You can look for these. Hit the download or the link for the other video. But just to continue to do that for a minute, but it's only 1 minute. Now you might be learning this at the time, or not even know it at all, but maybe you're just learning it for the first time you're doing it. And it feels out of time, or not even, it might not even feel right. That's fine. That's the whole purpose for this. So if you notice, I'm just playing 1 arpeggio. That's A minor. Now, why it's important is this is in the key of A minor, but that's sort of secondary. The point is students this handful of things, and I say these things many, many times. There are three important things about practice. One is repetition, the second is repetition, and the third, which is the most important, is repetition. So if you forget the big three, all you need to do is keep repeating it. So hopefully somebody thought that was at least somewhat comical. Anyway, and if not, just laugh at my jokes anyway. I tend to teach a little bit better and a little more exciting when there's some laughter. So actually this is on film, so you might be asking, what's Dave doing? Is he talking? How can I be laughing? You gonna know? We're recording that. Well, actually, there's somebody here in the room, so as long as they see Laura smiling, it's a good news. She's still to the camera for you. So, all right. Having said that, that's what is called form and freedom. Hopefully, we stayed on topic enough here to get to the point. So, just a real quick recap. Form and freedom is where you put on like a backing track for a specific amount of time. In this case, a minute, whatever. And you play the same thing, be it a scale, over and over. You resist the urge to improvise or go off track or not play the whole thing or to noodle of any kind. And immediately after that, you go into the freedom section, which is where you take all the rules and you throw them out and do it your way. It is precisely this juxtapositioning of very controlled form and then very much free, which I think is the right balance that we want as musicians, to keep learning new things and using them and infusing that into the fabric of our own playing. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please click on the links and download the available things that we have for this. So just click, and hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Dave UHRICH out.